Hello all, namaste, this is Gilles Mancillon. Greetings and blessed be. I come to you today because I wanted to do a little tutorial video on how to use the tarot. And the first video I want to make is about choosing the right deck for you, because there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of decks. And some of them may be more relevant in terms of vibration. So go towards, usually they say that you gotta wait till someone gives you a deck to start the tarot, but you may just go ahead and give it to yourself and pick and choose. I would definitely choose something that is that has a book with it, where you can study, that's something that resonates with you, because there are some that are more linear, earth plane kind of reality, others are much more esoteric. And so basically go towards something that really vibrates with you and has a book that you can integrate. The first thing you want to do if you're going to read tarot for someone else is that you want to integrate the information of the card. When you read tarot for someone else, it's absolutely inconceivable that you're going to pull out the book and start reading for someone else's information, because you do want to. So what you want to do is, when you get this deck, is maybe spend a week or a day, 10 days, 10 months, whatever it takes, but ask 100 questions of the tarot for yourself, even if the questions are not really relevant because you already feel it. And read every time the whole everything that's been said on the book about the card. So by reading it over and over and over again, you're going to integrate that information, and then when you come to the point where you do a reading and all the information comes in, you no longer need the book. That means you are willing, you are ready to do it for someone else as well. And so because when you read tarot for someone else, you want to be able to calibrate the information to the person who's inquiring. So some people may be looking for more into an esoteric or the more linear. But so you want to adapt your reading. I've been doing some reading on the internet, but I'm realizing that maybe I'm reading it as if I would read it for myself, which means very esoterical. So I'm going to slow down the next reading, if I have a chance to do another one, and proceed more slowly in terms of earth plane relationship to the tarot. So the tarot is basically a set of cards, a set of images that are here to reflect you some information that may be to bring to your consciousness certain aspect of energies that are invisible. And so it is a guidance. Some people may try to project it into future to read the future, but that's really not what the point of the exercise is to be aware, so that you make a conscious choice that is more a choice that is more enlightened choice in terms of understanding whatever situation. Basically, most of the tarot are made of 22 major arcanes, which is major images, strong, powerful image, and then you have 4 suits: air, water, earth, and fire. Usually it's wand, cups, swords, and coins mainly. And so the Diva deck has one more. It introduced the Ether, which is kind of a nice deck. I don't have it here, but it kind of like explain. It goes into other things. Some decks will go into different things, and they all have their own vibration. When you have a major arcane in the tarot, that means it is a power card. That means it's kind of not controlling the deck, but it's overwhelming a little bit the minor arcanes. And so originally the tarot comes from ancient Egypt. It was used in the temple by the priests to gain information and give more power to their ceremonies, and in terms of understanding in communication with the higher planes. For Egyptians, were quite aware of the 4th and 5th dimension. And so I have one deck here of Egyptian, which is kind of I'll show it very briefly. It is a very traditional deck, except for the major arcanes that are sometimes a little bit different. Here you have the sun, that's the blazing light. Another thing that I thought I mentioned is that originally in ancient Egypt there was the tarot was used, but we used to have 40 major arcanes. Now there is only 22. At some point we went back into duality about 10,000 years ago, and in between because the Egyptian civilization is a lot older than what we were led to believe, and so basically everything that's be after the world, after the universe, or the card that represents salvation, the last card of the arcanes, there was another 20 cards or 18 cards on top of that, which talks about higher dimensional energies, and those were completely removed from the tarot. And so then it was, but then it's still a very powerful tool. Eventually we may be able to regain those understanding and re-include those new arcanes into the tarot. But then the tarot was used mainly by pagan and magic, those involved in magic. But now it's becoming quite common. People can just go ahead and use it. There is really, don't take things too seriously with the tarot. It's just a guide and information, just like the runes or the I Ching. And so this is the Egyptian deck. My first tarot deck was the Aleister Crowley. And so the Aleister Crowley is a high ceremonial magic. There's a lot of information. Those were beautiful images. They were painted by a woman that was friend of Aleister Crowley. And the book called The Mirror of the Soul is very full of light. There is really nothing like what you could expect in Crowley's because of his bizarre persona that was like so dark and so light in the same times. But in the book there is not such a thing as darkness. It's all very very light, very clear. And so this is basically what I would recommend as the Mirror of the Soul, as the one of the essential book in tarot, because it brings a lot of depth and a lot of additional understanding that some of the more popular cards games books would not reveal. The most commonly sold deck is it's called the Raider's Waite, and it's like here it's very traditional decks, and there is I'm trying to show you, but this is very well known. It comes with a very big book, and they read card reverse, and it's very 20th century kind of understanding. It's not very forward. It's good base though. I mean, it's a good book, and I bought those little cards for traveling. This I've done like thousands and thousands and thousands of reading with those. I've been reading tarot for 25 years, so it's like. But eventually this became a bit old, so I managed to exchange it for this little Italian deck, which is prettier, I think, and more. It's more refined in terms of design. It's just fairly the same thing, but a small deck is kind of practical when you travel. Then I can show you I have a few decks here. This one is called the Aquarian deck, and it's very very beautiful. There's this is the star here. So it's very Art Deco kind of thing. This is the card of death and transfiguration, card of worry, card of patience. And then, so it is a very the Wheel of Fortune here, sorrow. Then it's a very traditional deck. There is nothing really unusual about the Aquarian deck. So then I have some Chinese deck that were quite interesting. This one is in French. Somebody gave me this. They have little stories. So it's not like traditional deck because the story is quite different. There is like each suit is going through. I usually leave the white cards here for me because sometimes it leaves a blank and it's kind of nice and interesting. So those, like each suit, the water, the fire, the air, and the earth and the air, they all have their own little story. And so here, for instance, it is the Five of Coins, which is traditionally worry, but here it would have to be read differently because it is someone that's crossing a river. So not only is he crossing a river, but he's got all those coins inside his fishnet. So it is not so much a worry card in here. So you got to adapt your reading to. Once you know how to read one tarot, you can always adapt this knowledge to any other tarot. But it's good to be able to take heed of what the card and the deck is saying, because some of them are more aggressive, some of them are more receptive. Some of them are more about power, those are more about love, intimacy, or whatever. So it's good to have more than one deck, although you don't need more than one deck once you know. This one is a romantic deck. It's a deck of Casanova. It's Venetian, so it's all about masked ball and romantic. It's quite pretty. I kind of enjoy that one. Even the devil is kind of sexy. We have the moon and the queens. So it's very traditional tarot. It's a Venetian tarot. This one is called the Voyager. The Voyager deck is very much like the Aleister Crowley, but it's been modernized with all kinds of collages and symbols. And here we don't here the swords have become crystals, so it is a New Age deck, and it's much more softer than what the Crowley may have. And so this is the Ace of Sword, which is like the Ace of Crystal, and so this is like this is the Queen of Wand, which is the Censer, and so there is all kinds of. And the book is quite nice. I don't know if it exists in any other language than English, but it is a very powerful book and a wonderful deck of cards. Then I have this other Chinese deck that I like to use because it's very pretty. It's very sweet, and so and I do enjoy the sweetness when I read cards rather than just having to. I can always adapt, but sometimes there are some cards that are like this, the Tower, which is like the thunderstorm. It's called the Tower here, but it's very. Some decks are more can be more aggressive than others. Here we have where is it here? The sun. Yes, the sun. There was this god that had there was 7 suns, and he had to kill all 6 other suns so he could remain the one sun that shines. So all decks have their own stories. They have their own mythology, and they have their own. So they're all very different. Here we have a deck that comes from India. I'm not sure it's an Indian deck, but it's based on all the old images of the Kama Sutra. And so the Kama Sutra was actually a book that was created as a guide to home family life, to be happy in a familiar situation. But then what was left of it that came to the Western world is just like sexual position, because that was what was like, there's Kama Sutra. But there is so much more than that in the Kama Sutra. There is all kinds of other things. Some of those positions are quite interesting, although some of them, like standing on wet foot, climbing over an elephant, may be quite difficult. And so it is a part of the mythology of India, and so it is. I've never really used that deck, but it is quite nice. It's brand new, and maybe I'll have an opportunity to use it. Or maybe I'll try to use it sometime. This one is quite different. It's a very powerful deck. It's called the Dakini. The Dakini is 64 cards only, and they're very unusual and very powerful. There is a whole metaphysical aspect to it, and they're very interesting, very powerful. So you do have to. There is hundreds of decks, and so you want to approach it and try to see what vibrates with you, and look at the book and see if you feel right about it. If you want to integrate this information, because the first book of tarot you're going to read is usually is going to remain with you as a base for understanding. Whenever you pick up another deck, you will be. That's what the information that will pop up in your mind probably first. Anyway, I wish you a good day. Thank you very much. I hope this was interesting for you, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.